before the 2020 election.
A massive impact on the American judiciary.
A decisive moment.
Clarence Thomas, Amy Coney Barrett.
So, this Clarence Thomas documentary aired on PBS Frontline 2 years ago. People talked about it. I saw clips, but I hadn't seen it for myself. A few weeks ago, we watched, it's on PBS. A few weeks ago, we watched the movie Straw together. So we're balancing it by watching this together. And this is the type of thing that we're doing in my Patreon. And so I'm just giving you a glimpse to experience it here. You might say, you know what, it's worth paying $5 to experience that and all the other dope content that Amandaseales is producing in the safe spaces of her Patreon. I think it's just also imperative that we learn together. So, also, in my one-woman show, What Would the Ancestors Say?, I talk about Clarence Thomas, and I want to just refine. I want to refine even more how I am addressing him. So now that you have that context, you can stick around and watch or move along. But this is what
It's huge.
Presiding over the ceremony, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas.
Solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution.
Amy Coney Barrett had chosen Thomas to swear her in.
So help me God.
So help me God.
A sign of transformation inside the High Court.
It's a moment of victory for Clarence Thomas. He's now become the center of the court. And I think he would say he won.
Justice Thomas has developed into one of the leading lights on the court, if not the leading lights. This is why it's often referred to as the Thomas Court now. He really is sort of the ideological and intellectual center of gravity on the court.
In the front row, Thomas's wife, Ginny.
It was a momentous moment. Is as good as any, maybe the best embodiment of the American right today. She's a true believer. She has always been on the far right. Her politics are all about this politics of fear and anger. That's Ginny Thomas.
Two powerful conservatives on the court and in politics, pursuing a shared vision.
This duo of Clarence Thomas and Ginny Thomas, they are the it couple of the far right.
Imagine that this is where we are. This is where we are in 2025. This is in 2023. I feel like folks so often talk about, oh my God, you know, we have to vote because our people died for it. Our people died for it. Our people died for it. And I'm like, I feel like in Clarence Thomas' mind, he's like, I'm going to be with this white lady because my people died for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, And she's not just any white lady. She's the worst kind of white lady. That's what they just said. Are you being facetious? Clarence Thomas ain't for us? Are you being facetious for real? Because you can't be serious. I mean, you can't be serious. Are you serious? Let me go back to this movie.
Shaped by history.
Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
Politics.
The American women do not want ERA. They do not want abortion.
And
By the way, I'm low-key annoyed that the documentary is about both of them. Like, that should let him know just how much of a nigga he is. He is a Supreme Court justice. And they was like, we're not even going to do a documentary on just you, Playboy. We got to include your white wife.
Affirmative action is not equality.
leaving an indelible mark on America.
The conservative majority overturning Roe versus Wade.
And they both ugly as hell.
Challenging the use of race in college admissions, which could have an impact on affirmative action.
In a nation freighted with division and upheaval, the Thomases have found their moment.
How could you not know that Clarence Thomas is not for us? Like, that angers me. I'm not even going to be polite with you. What world have you been existing in?
Opponents. It's a war with the other side. The same.
These some ugly folks,
how
y'all.
they look at their opponents.
Look at them.
It's a war with the other side.
That's what evil looks like. That's what hatred looks like.
My earliest memory.
What you mean you worked in entertainment? I have been in entertainment. I have literally been in the Screen Actors Guild since I was 8 years old. What that got to do? I'm literally very disgusted right now that you don't know this. I hope that my disgust makes you be like, let me go and get my act together. Because I'm out here on her. I'm out here looking crazy. No, Wendigard, there's a certain point where it's, yes, we're here to learn together, but also it's just like, how long have y'all had your head in the goddamn dirt? How? How long? The man been terrible since, what was that, 88?
Are those of Pinpoint, Georgia, a life far removed in space and time.
Clarence Thomas's journey to the center of American power began as far away as one can get from it.
He came up poor, very poor, from a marginal community. They talk about marginalized and underrepresented communities. Well, the Geechee dialect speaking, Sea Island dwelling, poor black people of the 1950s, which is when he was coming along, were as marginal, I can imagine, as you could get.
He got a black friend up in here talking about him. If that friend ain't getting money and talking shit about Clarence at a barbecue, I don't know. I can't imagine. Anywho.
Within the context of American society.
In 1955, my brother and I went to live with my mother in Savannah. We lived in one room in a tenement. We shared a kitchen with other tenants. And we had a common bathroom in the backyard, which was unworkable and unusable. It was hard, but it was all we had and all there was.
His father left early and moved away. His mother was a single mother. His mother married many times. He didn't have a relationship with any of, not his biological dad or any that came afterwards.
His mom has talked to me about how that was a very bleak period of her life when she had to do, but she said, but I had to do what I had to do.
Desperate, Clarence's mother, Leola Williams, gave up the boys.
Leola, the greatest coon of all time, had a mama named Leola. Okay. Whew.
Sending them to live at their grandfather's house.
Clarence had been rescued from a life of poverty and ended up in a house that had a toilet, running water, and his ability to go to school every day.
But life with his grandfather, Myers Anderson, had its own challenges.
He was tough. He was hard. I don't think empathy might have been his strongest point.
I interviewed Clarence Thomas's mother. She described it. The grandfather would lock Clarence Thomas and his little brother in the hall closet and not let them out for punishment.
So basically, everybody in this man's life was terrible. And so now we paying for it. That's basically what's going on. Everybody in this Negro life was trash. And so he said, I'm about to ruin all y'all life. And you know what's the most annoying part of that? Look at this cat. Hi, Sankara. Say hi. I love you. You know what's the most annoying part of that? He got insurance. He could have been gone to therapy. He could have been gone to therapy. You finish your business? All right now. Let's get back to this madness. Hold on, Jordy. Hold on. Ooh, my back. Golly. Damn.
And he also whipped them with a belt quite routinely. His grandfather beat the two boys quite often whenever it was that they didn't do something fast enough or well enough. He was physically, mentally, verbally abusive to both of the boys.
I want to also point out that Clarence's brother is cuter than him. So I'm sure that that's been a problem.
Probably the unhappiest that he's ever been in his life was the time that he spent in his grandfather's house.
Things weren't much easier for Clarence out in segregated Savannah.
Savannah would have been divided on racial lines. And when I say that, don't just think that I'm talking white, black. We had racial divides among the black community.
They had the brown bag rule. Your complexion it is either equal to the brown bag or lighter. Anything darker, it was ridiculed or derogated in some way.
Ooh, derogated.
He wrote about it in his autobiography.
Most of the insults aimed at me had to do with the darkness of my skin, the flatness of my nose, the kinkiness of my hair, and the way I talked. Such racial slurs stung all the more for having come from my own people.
The issues of class and race have always been at the heart of how Thomas has seen himself. That's the prism through which he sees his own life. And at every turn, there is a racial dimension to his life that he talks about.
So I am 8 minutes and 59 seconds into this documentary. And I can already tell you that the villainy that this man has unleashed is literally because of the way he was treated in the black community. And the way he was treated in the black community was because of the internalized white supremacy that black people took on. And guess what? We still do it to this day. We still do it to this day. We I don't, and I say that as somebody who takes more hits from black folks, Basquiat is not in the back, than any other folks. I can tell you that very, very clearly. Black people in the United States have treated me worse than anybody else. It doesn't change my love of self or my love of black people, but that is a fact. That is a fact.
Clarence was, frankly, never comfortable around the black people in Georgia. Clarence had been...
I mean, the Shade Room has monetized this type of behavior. Y'all go on and monetize this behavior. Y'all go on the shit and... Let me watch this damn documentary. How you gonna tell me the harm from white people is worse? No, it's not worse. I expect harm from white people. No, I haven't been around black people more. Why are y'all trying to come up with all type of like why y'all trying to come up with all type of straw man arguments? No. It wasn't white people that tried to discredit me for saying Kamala Harris needs to make coalitions with the left. It wasn't white people who tried to, who came for me when I said, Black Hollywood doesn't bring me into their spaces. No, it was a bunch of black folks and black sites and black, gossip places, etc. that said, yeah. You need to, no one likes you. And that's why we didn't invite you. I'm bringing this up because we literally, I'm 9 minutes into this. I'm 9 minutes into that. Z, for real, go fuck yourself. I don't care if I'm about to lose you, nigga. I'm 9 minutes into this, and we created our own monster. We created our own monster. We created our own monster because we were colonized. Our bodies were colonized. Our minds were colonized. And we created our own monster.
Ridiculed by the children in that area around Pinpoint. And he was nicknamed ABC for America's Blackest Child.
ABC is funny as hell, though. Why are black people like this? Naming this man America's Blackest Child, ABC. Why are we like this? I hate that ate him up like that. I hate that ate him up like that because I feel like he could have really rolled with that. But oh my God. Okay. Let me get back to it. That's terrible.
So, from an early age, Clarence really felt estranged, I think, from his entire community.
The resentment and anger that can provoke within the darker skinned and blacker individuals also not so pretty. It's a psychologically debilitating aspect of the African American experience, this kind of class, color, prejudice that operates amongst Black Americans.
I guess the thing I remember most
out of me.
I think his nurturing came from them because it wasn't coming from his immediate family. I don't think he had the nurturing of parents and whatever. We would know.
There's like over 180 degrees of sky. I suppose a long vista gives you a sense that there's something beyond. You know, there's something more out there.
Leave it to Beaver.
Beaver, what's the matter with your eye? Which eye, Mom?
I remember watching Leave It to Beaver and thinking as a child, well, that's my neighborhood. That's where I'm growing up. The kind of American dream locale in the 1960s and early 70s.
Kurt Anderson grew up across the street from Jane.
Where we lived was this prosperous, all-white neighborhood, except for the housekeepers and cleaners. It was easy to go for days, weeks, months, forever without seeing Black people, frankly, is what it was. She came from within almost a walled bastion, you know?
Scott Bange was her high school boyfriend.
There was no exposure in her life to somebody who was a high school kid and drank, or smoked weed, or did all those things that I thought were normal and high school kids did. She was a pretty good little girl. She was just kind of a non-exceptional, middle of the pack girl in these giant classes of 750 people. She was involved in things like pep club. And then she became something they called warrior woman. She would lead the marching band and all these, people carrying pennants and whatnot.
But at home, there was something underneath the everyday suburban.
She's the youngest child of a very prosperous real estate developer. Her mom was a homemaker and political activist. They were leading what looked outwardly like an idyllic suburban lifestyle.
Jordy.
I've heard Judy Thomas say that she was sort of the mistake child, that she was born a lot later. So her parents were very politically engaged. They thought they were done having children, and then comes along Jenny. They would take her to these Republican rallies, and so she grew up with Republican activism, and obviously it took.
It was a Republican activism beyond the norm, even in conservative Omaha.
I first became familiar with the Lambs from my parents talking about them as what they called black hats. That was their phrase for extreme, far-right, John Birchie Republicans.
The Lamps were immersed in a growing culture of right-wing fear-mongering, like this film from supporters of presidential candidate Barry Goldwater.
Our streets are not safe. Immorality begins to flourish. Violence pits American against American. We don't want this.
It's there in this film. Shots of the city, of newsstands with pornography on it, and fast cars, and kids doing the twist, and topless dancing, and the whole realm of cultural, boogeymen.
Demoralization, chaos. This is the change, the other America that the people slowly wake up to. In the streets, the mob.
So, like, when these people got the call, hey, we want to interview you about Jenny and Clarence Thomas. What what did they... Because I feel like the Clarence Thomas people are being very friendly to Clarence, but the Jenny people are like, yeah, they was on one. She was on one. Her mama and her daddy was on one too, and now she's still on it. Like, how do you find Jenny Thomas's boyfriend from high school to interview him for this documentary? Like, wow, journalism.
Jenny was growing up. The conflicts of the 1960s were being broadcast on television.
And I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
There you are, you're a preteen, and you're a sponge, right?
In a march this morning to the county courthouse in Selma, Alabama.
Television had really expanded.
The whole black nation has put together as a black army.
Everything came right into your living room, so to speak, every night.
In response, the Lamps were drawn to the John Birch Society.
The civil rights movement, as we know it today, is simply part of a worldwide movement organized.
It's really important to watch stuff like this because I really feel like there's such a crazy false sense of security that I'm witnessing amongst folks. And a lot of it is just the fact that advancements that were made in technology could not be sequestered to solely just certain parts of society, because it required other parts of society to also have access in order for them to be weaponized. So, like, I think some people really just feel like, well, if I can have a fast car, if I can have a phone, and I can have Wi-Fi, and I'm black, then clearly we've made advancements. When really it's like, it's not that basic. It's not that basic. It's just, more people have been born. The globe has shifted. And we have to understand that, the United States that began with a population that was smaller in white people than black people, but that was armed, and the black people weren't. Like, over time, as they continued to breed black people, by the way, we outnumbered folks. And by the time the Civil War took place, it was like imperative that black people be a part of the Union Army in order for it to win. And then there's the Great Migration. And we see black people from the South expand across this nation. And I think so many people to this day continue to think that our involvement in industry, our involvement in capitalism, our access to similar things that other groups, that white racist people have access to, makes it as an example of egalitarianism, which it is not. It is simply not egalitarianism. And a metaphor that I would use is that if you have one brick and you hit that brick and it has a couple fissures in it, right? Then that's a few little plants that can come through. Over time, you're laying the bricks of this society. So think of it like you're laying the bricks of a building, right? So think of laying the bricks of American society. Over time, you're laying more bricks. There's more bricks. There's more weight on the bricks. There's going to create more fissures that create more opportunities for more plants to grow through. But it still does not change the fact that the bricks are being built on top of the plants. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't stop. Yes, the plants still manage to push through. They still manage to find a way. But it does not change the fact that the bricks continue to be built on top of the plants. And as long as they are continuing to build those bricks on top of folks, we cannot consider this to be an equal society. And having more time and more, existence in this society gives, if we've even seen plants, plants will find a way. They will find a way. But it doesn't change the fact that they're continuing to have to find a way versus being given way. And so efforts like affirmative action were basically this idea of, okay, well, let's cut a path. However, they're like, no, too many plants finding their way to that path. So many people I see saying, I'm exhausted. That's why, I voted for Kamala Harris and now I'm exhausted. It's like, yeah, but you're also exhausted by the fact that there's also, on top of all of this, there are black bourgeoisie who are also building on top of you. And for what it's worth, BRICS is still Russia and China, who don't actually rock with each other. They just have interest in convergence right now. Russia and China have interest convergence in trying to topple the United States. However, once they do, they're going to try and topple each other. It's not like they're coming together in allyship to say, let's be, it's not like they're coming together in allyship. They're basically like, the enemy of my enemy is my enemy. That's essentially what they're saying. They're just like, none of us like this dude. Let's get him out of here. Then when they get him out of there, they're going to be like, all right, but back to the lecture at hand. I didn't like you from Jump Street. Because remember, China and Russia are juxtaposed next to each other. They're right on top of each other. You think they're not going to have beef? Shit.
The John Birch Society became a code word for very far out there right-wing beliefs and activities.
Their objective is not communist conquest, it's anarchy. Breakdown of law and order. Helplessness.
For young Ginny, it left an impression.
Settling communist might.
You can see so many echoes in the John Birch Society of what became QAnon and other sort of far-right radical conspiracy theories And, you know, this was a very sort of black and white point of view that made politics into war. That was the kind of the mindset that Ginny Lamp grew up in.
In Gullah, the name of this poem is Damn Full Gals, okay? God stick by chillin'. You got much a good thing fling bout.
As a child, Clarence had grown up speaking the language of the enslaved people of Georgia.
It's called Gullah Geechee. And when we greeted people, we said, how una datu?
We used to call it Pidgin English, but I think it was a French flavor to it.
As one of only 2 black students attending a high school seminary, the vestiges of that dialect made him a target of ridicule.
Not only does it remind everybody around him that he's different, it also reminds them that he's of a lower caste. It has to be monumental for him.
Father Coleman told me matter-of-factly that I didn't speak standard English and that I would have to learn how to talk properly if I didn't want to be thought inferior. His blunt words hit me like a slap in the face.
That moment stuck with him for the rest of his life.
Clarence, when he got really relaxed, would revert to some of those...
Just so I understand. So Clarence Thomas, the greatest coon of all time. I can't even make it up.
And that accent, but he was always extremely conscious of how he pronounced words because he had been forced to do that.
When the justice was on the high court, he was famous for not speaking during oral argument. And one of the explanations he would offer for that was because he was embarrassed about how he talked, even though that was so far in the past that no one who knows the present-day Clarence Thomas would think that that would be a concern of his, but it indeed was.
His days living in the White Seminary shaped him in other ways, too.
He was in a dormitory living on that campus, so it had to be tough. You know, when somebody says something derogatory to you in that environment, you got to deal with it because you're there 24/7.
At night, before he'd go to sleep.
You know how nuts it is to be at seminary school and they are dissing you? Like, we're literally here to be studying the Word of God, and y'all being the devils.
Now and then, you know, there'd be a laughter in the room and someone would say, Clarence, smile so we can see you, that kind of thing.
When they put the lights out at night, his peers would shout, hours at night, keep him up.
After he entered the major seminary, one event would become a turning point.
I have some very sad news for all of you and people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
After Martin Luther King is assassinated, that day he hears his fellow seminarians say, "Good, I hope the SOB dies." You know, it's crushing to him. It's absolutely crushing.
Our hero is murdered, and you're dancing on his grave, so to speak. These are not my people, the people who would dance on his grave. What am I doing with them? Where am I? Who am I? This kind of thing. You begin to ask yourself, what am I buying into here?
I tore off the beliefs I had learned from the nuns. I knew what was wrong, who to blame for it, and what to do about it. I was an angry black man.
That seminary was too much for him. He had to leave. It was heart-wrenching. Not only did he leave the religion that sustained him, but he was also living there. And so he had to go back to this household where he was treated like a dog.
Had to be tremendously painstaking. You're going to disappoint so many people. Your grandfather, the black community, the black Catholic community in Savannah. All these people are looking for you to be the first black priest.
The grandfather's saying, what? You're leaving the seminary? You know, you're out of my house. I'm cutting you off. You're not going to be supported. And again, Thomas is abandoned, right? He's left alone. He's left to fend for himself.
I'm finished helping you, he said. You'll have to figure it out yourself. You'll probably end up like your no-good daddy or those other no-good pinpoint Negroes.
Instead of the grandfather being sympathetic and compassionate and loving and hugging him and saying, I love you no matter what, or whatever a normal person would do, he excoriated him and told him that he was a failure and expressed his dire disappointment.
Over the years, Thomas would downplay this image of his grandfather and express admiration for the man who gave him a home as a child.
I mean, the grandfather is in the title of his autobiography, My Grandfather's Son. That's how he thought of himself. But the picture that he paints in that book is completely the opposite of how Clarence described his grandfather to me.
Not Clarence X.
My thanks to all of you, and on to Chicago, and let's win there.
One day, I turned on the radio while making my sandwich. I heard that Bobby Kennedy had been shot.
Oh my God, Senator Kennedy has been shot.
I fell to my knees and burst into tears.
That's it, Wrangler. Get it. Get the gun, Wrangler. Okay, now hold on to the guy.
I felt the blind, self-destructive rage that haunted so many of the people I knew.
The crowd is running. The police are chasing them into Jackson, into Grant Park.
Surely the time for politeness and nonviolent protest was over. Look what it had done for Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy.
We aren't going to put up with their nonsense, with their irrationality, with their murder any longer.
The more injustice I saw, the angrier I became.
We're going to shoot the cops who are shooting our black brothers in the back in this country. That's what we are.
Stokely.
And the angrier I became, the more injustice I saw. And the more I read about the Black Power movement, the more I wanted to be a part of it.
Wasima, Tusinda, Bila Shaka, which means we shall conquer without a doubt. Black Power.
Eldridge.
Now Clarence Thomas, budding campus radical, would pursue his education elsewhere. He received a scholarship to a private college in Massachusetts.
At the point when Clarence Thomas got into Holy Cross, the school was actually actively looking for black students. The president of Holy Cross, Johnny Brooks, who set up this program, described it as affirmative action. That's what opened the doors for him.
Holy Cross, Catholic, all male. More than 2,000 white students, 27 black students, many of them as frustrated as Clarence was.
No, I was pissed off. I had evolved from being hopeful to being pissed off. A lot of young people in America was pissed off, and they weren't seeking a reconciliation.
So Clarence Thomas got into college due to affirmative action, not in name, but in practice. All right, so did y'all catch that?
Okay, they're seeking a coup. Change the whole thing.
We all involved in it. I was involved in the protest. He was, literally everybody who went up there. And we, those of us from the South, we were right there with them saying, yeah, man, we want to push.
He definitely was inspired by the Black Panthers. He dressed like them. He talked like them. He had a beret, he had army fatigues, and he had the army boots.
He wore an afro. He was out there with everyone else. I think it was positive because he had a group. He wasn't alone now. And he became part of his group.
I don't know if he had a well-formed political philosophy before he got to Holy Cross. Maybe he was simply going along. But the years, 1968, 1969...
They don't show pics.
Gosh, I was there. And the forces of conformity to a sense of outraged fury, resistance, the throwing off of oppression by any means necessary. It was very seductive, it was very compelling to many, many people, among whom was Clarence Thomas.
And he had a hero, Malcolm X.
We want freedom by any means necessary. We want justice by any means necessary. We want equality by any means necessary.
He had a poster of Malcolm X in his dorm room.
Justice Thomas boasted at one point he had read all of his speeches. And he said at one time he could quote you some of them by heart. I mean, so he really did pay attention to Malcolm X.
We are oppressed.
So just so I'm clear, some bitch named Sister Viv came on here to say that I look a mess. I was busy watching a documentary where I'm trying to learn something and literally keeping my Instagram Live held up by my hand so that other people can hear it. And you, Sister Viv, felt like that was the thing to do. Why are y'all, why do y'all, you, Sister Viv, what is it about me existing in my freedom that is so unsettling to you? What is it? I'm not preventing you from your freedom. I could inspire you to your freedom. But what is it about me and my freedom? Stop telling me what to do. If I want to address haters, then I'm going to address haters. And I don't know why you all feel like you have any idea what it is like for me in order to give me any level of advice about what I need to do. Stop doing that. If I decide to take a moment in my day to address haters, then either listen, support me, or get off the Instagram. Like, you don't know what that's like. Same with you. Don't give her the platform. I'll give whoever the fuck I want, whatever the fuck I want. Stop trying to tell me what to do. Stop. It is not your place. And it is not encouraging in any shape, way, or form. It is unsolicited. Keep that shit to yourself. And let that be a lesson for how you exist with others. When you tell people don't do XYZ, I'm not your child. I'm not somebody that considers you wise. I'm not coming to you for advice. I don't need you to manage me. I don't need you to moderate me. So keep that under wraps. It's just as annoying when you all tell me what I should be ignoring as it is when people are doing shit that you consider to be worth ignoring. And thank you. I don't care if it's done with malice. The intention is not the point. The intention does not disregard the way it lands. Like, I don't care if it's not done with malice. It's done with carelessness because in their mind, they're trying to show me they care, doing a behavior that is actually centering them. I will do what I want to do. Stop telling me what the fuck I should be making important or not. Thank you, Marquise Foster. And thank you, Nola Badita, who gets it. Nola Babita. It's not giving her a platform. It's shame. If more people called them out, maybe they'd keep that shit to themselves. I consider that to be just a basic 2 + 2 equation, but clearly it needed to get said. So thank you, Nola, for saying it. Shit.
Downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Clarence Thomas's activism culminated in his junior year as protests broke out 40 miles away in Harvard Square.
An estimated 2,000 medical students from the greater Boston area decided to march to Cambridge and continue demonstrating.
We drank our way to Harvard Square, where our disorderly parade deteriorated into a full-scale riot.
The demonstration then turned into the most extreme civil disorder in Cambridge history. 4,000 students against 2,000 police.
The police fired rounds of tear gas into the crowd, but that didn't deter us, and we kept on riding well into the night. I got back to campus at 4 in the morning, horrified by what I'd just done.
All over the United States yesterday, there were anti-war protests, most of them peaceful. One was not at Harvard University last night.
Nearly 200 people were injured. 40 students were arrested.
I had let myself be swept up by an angry mob for no good reason, other than that I too was angry.
Nigga, how is it no good reason? How is it no good reason? Also, you know the police. It's Boston. You know the police turned up and turned this into the violence that it became. We see that happen to this day. Nigga, what? Whoever the fuck Lisa Lee is, she ain't here no more. She's not even using the right form of your and your. That's such an odd way for...
Like this mini riot. Like, what am I doing here, right? What am I doing?
He was
Yes, Tyrone.
about what he'd done.
We are working our way up to that.
Who he was. What he stood for.
I don't think anything about Clarence Thomas is simple. I mean, he's a bundle of contradictions, and it seems like there's just always so much inner tension within him. Yes, he was radical like his peers, but not as radical. And he broke with them in various ways.
I have not watched Sinners with the group.
With whatever the dominant political trope is. He says, he's always talking about how he's not going to do what's fashionable. He wants to be different.
He set about remaking himself. Gone was the Black Panther uniform. Proving his grandfather wrong, he excelled at school, graduating near the top of his class. And the next day, he married his college girlfriend, Kathy Ambush.
I asked him, why did you marry her? And he said, because she was the first woman who was nice to me.
Jesus Christ.
He always had a problem with women. He regarded himself as not attractive at all.
He's not attractive at all.
Women as being pretty mean to him or indifferent to him. And this was the first woman who...
Well, you're a bitch nigga.
Show that. So he married her.
Let me tell you something about bitch ass niggas. Bitch ass niggas will really try and blame women for not messing with them when it's like, yeah, but you're a bitch ass nigga. Like, you're a corny bruh. Like, maybe we don't mess with you because there ain't really nothing here to mess with. Maybe that's what it is. He may be attractive to somebody, I guess, but I'm not one of them. All right. So we're going to pause. I'm going to have to watch the rest of this at another time, and I'll do so on Patreon. Because I want to get on here a little later, and I need to take a break. So, yeah, we watched Clarence and Ginny Thomas, the doc on PBS Frontline. And, the thing about the term ugly is that it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, one of the ugliest niggas I know has a big old job. He has a beautiful wife and a beautiful kid. He's also a bitch ass nigga though. But he tall. So a lot of times I would get you by. But he is by far one of the most unfortunately faced men I've ever met. Yeah. They said that he felt that he was ugly. That's just what it is. But then, you got pretty motherfuckers that are also terrible people. So it's like, it's like none of this is, because I know some unfortunate faced people that you can't tell them nothing. And some of them are great people and some of them are terrible people. It's not really like based, I don't know. It's not really about that at the end of the day. Anywho, you all have a great rest of your day. I'll be hopping on a little later, so maybe I'll see you then. But I hope we learned something today. One of the main things that I noticed, that I learned today, was that Clarence Thomas is literally just a severely traumatized child that became a malignant narcissist due to the absence of his parents. That is my Grey's Anatomy psych degree analysis and diagnosis. But don't forget, the fascists are not your friends. T-shirts, pins, magnets, stickers, all that are available only until Wednesday, August 14th. So go to AmandalandExports.com. Check it out. And if you haven't watched this week's episode of Views from Amandaland, make sure you go to YouTube Amandaseales TV and check that out. You can basically just go to AmandaSeales.com and see all of this.